On November 9th, 2005, the adult animated series South Park aired the episode Ginger Kids.
My speech is entitled Ginger Kids, Children with Red Hair, Light Skin, and Freckles.
The series is known for, perhaps better than anything, being absolutely unapologetic in its criticism, commentary, and comedy surrounding whatever topic the creators and showrunners, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, decide to tackle. The show is associated just as much with controversy as it is with comedy. It has its own Wikipedia page. Matt and Trey have said multiple times that they simply write what makes them laugh, channeling the idea that nothing is sacred.
Are there lines that you won't cross?
No. We haven't found one yet.
And it seems like any attempts at retaliation against the show's commentary all end in one of two ways, in criticism falling on deaf ears, or the punching bag becoming even more ridiculed.
Hey, look, Tom Cruise has semen on his back.
What did you say?
Outrage is a part of the series' legacy. The creators call themselves equal opportunity offenders, and in 20 years have left no stone unturned. Matt Stone said in an interview with The Independent, "If it makes you laugh, then who cares if it's a fart or a joke about Oscar Wilde? We tackle subject matter that we think is funny and unique. We make statements through our humor, but we're not out to make statements." The episode Ginger Kids is, of course, about ginger kids.
We've all seen them on the playground, at the store, walking on the streets. They creep us out and make us feel sick to our stomachs.
South Park has covered public figures, religion, cultural touchstones, and countless celebrities as episodic whoopee cushions. What is it about something as innocuous as hair color that makes this worthy subject matter for an episode? I know this may seem like an obvious question, but let's talk about it for a second. I'll essentially be giving the presentation Kyle does to defend gingers in the episode. Red hair is a result of a mutation of the MC1R gene, which alters the pigment of a person's hair color. Despite being most commonly occurring in regions of northwestern Europe, people across the globe are capable of inheriting and displaying this phenotype. Red hair is also associated with fair skin, because the mutated MC1R results in a lower production of eumelanin, the type of melanin responsible for darker pigmentation in the body.
Because their skin is so light, ginger kids must avoid the sun, not unlike vampires.
Red hair is the rarest human hair color. Overall, redheads make up a mere 1 to 2% of the entire global population, and it's in this detail that we get the groundwork for a larger cultural phenomenon, applicable to not just hair color, but just about any other trait we're capable of imagining. Humans, being social animals, are hardwired to construct criteria or ideas that define membership for their social groups, and thus what would make certain individuals excluded from them. This is known as in-group, out-group psychology. People tend to gravitate towards others that they perceive as sharing common traits with, whether that be faith, ethnicity, or shared values. And in doing so, by producing an us, we inevitably create a them. Red hair being so infrequently occurring almost automatically places people born with it into the them category. Not only is it different, it sticks out pretty prominently. Its rareness is only one factor of the equation, though. Our cultural attitudes make up the other half.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse. And unless we work to rid the earth of that curse, the gingers could envelop our lives in blackness for all time.
The episode begins with Cartman delivering his presentation about the dangers of gingers, warning his classmates of their comically subhuman status and unnatural physical attributes.
Ah, nasty, yuck! This disease is called gingivitis. People aren't creeped out by gingers. I am.
Soon enough, the other kids start to adopt Cartman's philosophy as their own, discriminating against some of their classmates. Kyle, Stan, and Kenny, looking to give Cartman a taste of his own medicine, sneak into his house that night, and while he's sleeping, dye his hair and bleach his skin. The next morning, Cartman wakes to see what he's transformed into. His mother takes him to a doctor who advises her to humanely euthanize him, which she considers.
Mom?
Oh, yes, of course, sweetie.
Returning to school, Cartman is bullied by the people inspired by his own presentation, but after failing to reassimilate with his peers and then being patently rejected, he decides to move in the opposite direction, establishing the Ginger Separatist movement.
Red power! Red power! We gingers are proud people. We are the noble descendants of great Americans like Ron Howard and others.
And this quickly escalates. The movement almost immediately becomes violent and antagonistic, and the members of Cartman's coalition start attacking people identified as threats, like a young stage actress playing Annie, who is actually a brunette.
And pretending to be ginger with makeup is the worst thing anybody can do. Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't take long for Cartman to name gingers as a great race, and pivot to deciding to kill everyone who isn't ginger. He tells his followers,
And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the only way to fight hate is with more hate.
right before he says this.
My fellow gingers, I envision a world in which there is no hate. We must gather together every child who is not ginger and exterminate them.
Isn't that sad? Yes! Don't we just hate that? Yes! Don't we wish they would just die? Yes!
It's pretty clear what Matt and Trey are referencing here.
I am not gonna live my life as a goddamn minority!
So the ginger kids kidnap all the other children in town and bring them to their base, the Airport Hilton Hotel, for execution via pit of lava.
Now, let the extermination begin!
Before he's thrown in, Kyle quickly whispers to Cartman what he, Stan, and Kenny did, and Cartman has to abruptly call off the execution.
Oh my god, you guys, I just realized something.
He distracts the congregation from the heel-turn decision by basically singing Kumbaya, and the episode ends. Gingers and everyone else learning to live together in harmony. For a South Park episode, this is pretty tame. The episode isn't really all that cruel either. The real butt of the joke is Cartman, who is so insecure and ridiculously volatile that his solution to being bullied is to kill everyone. But unlike the children who are able to come together at the end, despite a difference in hair color, the viewers who watched this episode did not come to the same understanding.
Police are investigating a series of bizarre and disturbing attacks that have left children in cities from coast to coast injured and fearing for their safety. As Global's Annika Bauer tells us, the young victims were targeted simply because of the color of their hair.
After the episode aired, several incidents occurred across predominantly the US and Canada, a few of them violent, targeting redheaded school children. In 2008, a new Facebook group was created by a boy living in Vancouver, Canada, titled Kick a Ginger Day, and gained nearly 5,000 members. November 20th was designated as the unofficial holiday, and a few people were keen to participate.
13-year-old Aaron Mishkin says he was kicked about 80 times at school on Thursday, which had been dubbed Kick a Ginger Day on a number of internet sites. At another school, possible criminal charges after the kicking of a grade 10 boy.
An Ottawa mother named Juanita McNairn described her 13-year-old son was beside himself, delaying getting out of bed and getting ready, and eventually bursting into tears before explaining to her why he didn't want to go to school. He reported that his peers told him all week they were planning to hurt him once he arrived in class. Dozens of messages appeared on the Facebook page reporting successful attacks on ginger students once November 20th rolled around. With so many assaults reported by victims, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police launched an investigation.
The site had nearly 5,000 members from across Canada and the world, and now that young teen could be facing hate crime-related charges.
In the US, a 12-year-old boy living in California was assaulted by a group of students, about 9 of them, at A.E. Wright Middle School, who beat him up twice on the same day. 2 other 12-year-old boys were arrested on charges of battery on school property. More assaults continued in the next few years, carrying on the tradition of Kick a Ginger Day with targeted attacks, more infamous incidents occurring in 2013 and 2015. And I can't help but be interested in this phenomenon because I am a ginger. I'm a freckled, soul-sucking, pale-skinned, hell-spawned, hot-tempered, vampiric redhead. That's me. Like many other Carrot Tops, I've heard my fair share of comments, insults, and the occasional compliment, always from an elderly lady. And to see it being tackled in this manner is actually pretty refreshing. I watched this episode as a kid, which I definitely shouldn't have, but I found it funny then, and I find it funny now. It's just ironic that the result was more bullying. Ed Sheeran actually claimed that South Park incited the wave of redhead discrimination, but people have been making fun of us for centuries. Sheeran was more so referring to discrimination in the US versus the UK, which is something worth conversation.
And what kind of things were they saying to you?
They were saying, like, I'd rather have cancer than be ginger, and I think you should kill yourself because of your hair colour, and I feel sorry for your mum for having you.
But a whole other topic in and of itself. The discrimination and the history of discrimination are very real, though. Because it is so unusual, red hair came to be recognized as a hallmark for unsavory traits or affiliations. Red-haired men were burned alive as sacrifices in ancient Egypt. Across the Balkans, they were associated with the undead and believed to become vampires after death. Red hair came to be associated with the Jewish population in Europe and thus was a significant identifier for persecution. Funnily enough, Kyle, resident redhead of the gang, is Jewish. And yeah, so is yours truly. though Kyle having these traits is in reality due to him being based off of Matt Stone more than anything else.
You know, a lot of people have accused South Park of anti-Semitism, but I'm Jewish and proud of my heritage, and so I can say with some certainty that I am not anti-Semitic.
I am, however.
Within Christianity, Mary Magdalene, and more significantly, Judas Iscariot, are often depicted and thought of as having red hair, another point of prejudice. This is something the episode actually references.
Do you know who was ginger? Judas. And what did Judas do? Oh, he just got Jesus killed, that's all.
It's kind of incredible that this escalated to the degree that it did, because the theme of the episode is not only comically easy to understand, but completely condemns the behavior it supposedly inspired. Stan directly spells it out for the audience.
But I have to admit, I had my own prejudice about gingers. I think we all need to realize that everyone is different in one way or another, and we shouldn't be threatened by those differences.
Matt Stone commented that he and Trey aren't out to make statements. They make statements through their humor.
There's a reason why people haven't touched that. And we're like, oh, really? Because we want to go do jokes that other people haven't done, you know?
And in this case, it's how prejudice propagates cycles of resentment and violence between different groups of people, and that prejudice itself is often based in shallow stereotypes or ideas that have no basis in reality.
This is all a bunch of crap!
In this case, the prejudice against redheads is just a stand-in for discrimination as a whole. It genuinely could not have been spelled out in clearer words.
Don't you see? If we go and exterminate everyone who isn't ginger, then we're no better than they were for thinking less of us. Maybe we all have to learn to live together.
Ironically, the episode does also make commentary on groupthink, another element relevant to in-group, out-group psychology and movements designed to channel negative feelings towards particular minority groups. And groupthink really seemed to work its magic on a lot of people after this episode aired. I don't think it's right to blame Matt or Trey for any aggression towards redheads that followed the premiere. For one, the Facebook group blamed for creating Kick a Ginger Day and inciting any violence was made a whole 3 years after the episode came out. It wasn't immediate gingercide following the airing. And while many of the perpetrators involved cite South Park as the inspiration, the writing couldn't have been more transparent with the episode's message. The fact is, stupid people and bad actors will always be around to misinterpret or willfully misinterpret existing media.
We can blame Facebook or we can blame South Park, but in the end, it's choices that students make.
The easy thing to do is blame the video games, the books, the what have you for ensuing actions that people take.
Kill John Lennon! Kill John Lennon!
As the quote-unquote punching bag subject of this episode, I genuinely find it funny.
Kids who have gingivitis cannot be cured. Ah, sick!
Really, the most unrealistic thing about it is there being this number of redheads in one small town. There's only this many of us in one place if it's a convention, or Scotland. And not that I speak for all redheads, but when you're the butt of the joke, it can be fun to see how satire spins the idea. Because the gingers aren't the joke. People like Cartman are. The people who behaved like him are. So get along with us, gingers. Because if you don't, we will steal your souls.
No! Take a right!